So October happened, so I'm going crazy. I got 10 trucks over the road. I have a driver drive a driver drive through a weigh station with a blunt.
With a blunt?
With a blunt.
Okay.
With a blunt.
All right.
This dude, so he gets pulled in, cited, he gets shut down for 24 hours. So I had already booked another load, so I had to fly out to Kansas and go continue this load because my name Pegway, which is the name of my company at first, is now Third Eye.
Yep.
But it was Pegway at the time, and I stand by my name. So I went out there to fly to move the truck because he was coming through Atlanta because he had to go to Florida.
Right.
So I went out to Kansas, drove it. He dropped me off. He kept going. Of course, I fired him after that, but I had to finish the load.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I was just catching hell. So that was one instance. Then boom, I had another driver quit on me while he was in Florida. Left the truck in Florida. Now I had to send 2 people up there. So then I had a guy had a family emergency, left the truck in Baltimore. At that point, I'm like, okay, this is starting to make a lot less sense because the drama and the sweaty armpits of all of these moments of like, okay.
Right.
So I'm like, you know what? So I'm like, okay, I got to deal with this because now I got all these trucks out. And then I made a bad promise to the drivers. Worst mistake. I promised drivers that they'll be out for a week and a half. So the problem that I started to run into is that it's easy to navigate trucks when they're willing to go anywhere.
Right.
But it's hard when they only trying to come back one direction.
Right.
So as people start to want to come home, I start to be like, man, if they ain't willing to stay out for 2 weeks, it ain't even no point of even doing it because I'm losing money because a lot of people, if I guarantee you that I'm standing behind it.
Right.
I had trucks to drive back all the way from Denver. $700, $800 in fuel, plus I'm still paying them.
Wow.
So it started not to make sense. So finally, through all of that, Amazon finally hit me up for a walkthrough.
Okay.
So it still was kind of like a surreal moment because I'm like, okay, I've been dreaming of this. Now, keep in mind, I started 4 layers under Amazon. I started working I was almost like signing 4 labels. You know what I'm saying? I was almost like being signed at GU.
You like Drake.
Yeah.
You signed a Lil Wayne, Birdman,
I'm
Universal.
Everybody. So the dude that put me on, he's under another company that's working directly with. So I'm 4 layers down. So my dream was like, man, I need to get to Amazon directly.
Right.
Hell, if I can at least get to the dude, if I can just jump over this dude, I'd be all right. You know what I'm saying? So
right.
My whole thing was that. So I had finally had my opportunity to get that jump. Boom. We jump in. I do the walkthrough. At that moment, I knew it was real.
Okay.
So I'm like, cool. I hit on my driver.
What's the walkthrough, just for people who don't understand?
So the walkthrough with Amazon, they just going through, showing me the facility, not knowing that I had already been through the facility. I had been working for the facility, you know. And I ended up meeting this dude, dopest dude at Amazon, man. This dude named JT. Super cool dude. He showed me around. He helped me out with everything.
Right.
Boom, he brings me in. So
they don't do the walkthrough for everybody. You got to be rated. You got to be official.
You got to be dedicated.
You got
okay. I don't even know if they even do dedicated no more.
Okay.
I had somebody on my comments like, box truck, I've been doing Amazon for 9 years. They don't do dedicated. Well, guess what? I guess I'm the exception to the rule because I had to walk through 4 box trucks.
Right.
So fast forward.
Right.
That, you know, so he did the walkthrough. He went through, showed me around. Was like, okay. So they didn't end up giving me 10 routes. They ended up giving me eight routes. So I kept 2 trucks over the road because I needed to make some of the money back, and it was easier to manage the 2 trucks more than manage it. So I had a couple trucks over the road, 8 trucks moving to Amazon. So fast forward from October, we started Amazon somewhere around like November 15th, November 20th.
Okay.
Hit the ground running. So they had me on a temporary. I never had a contract, for the record. I never had a contract. I don't have a contract with Amazon right now.
Okay.
It's all performance based. So they brought me in there with 8 routes. And they're like, okay, if you do good with these 8 routes, we'll keep you on. So I killed it with the 8 routes. I brought my trucks off the road and I sent those. I started to see that they had a lot of extra work because a lot of other guys were dropping routes. So I brought my 2 trucks home. I had them to just be on standby. They was catching work every day.
Gotcha. That was smart.
So my strategy and how I beat out everybody else and became number 1. I became number 1 with them because I sent those 2 trucks there just in case somebody called off. So other people asking me dumb questions like, I'm gonna say dumb questions. It's a good question because they ask me how much I make per truck. But to me, in my mind, man, I'm on something different than what y'all on. Y'all on. I look at what my operation make. I don't trip off of what one truck make because you get caught up in what one truck make. Then you piecing truck by truck. I look at as long as my operation enough to pay my managers and everybody involved, then it makes sense for me.
Right.
So fast forward. So all of this started to make a whole lot of sense for me. So now I'm running. So they end up giving me extra routes to where I had 10 routes before peak season was over. So with the persistence, and they like my system, like, how are you not dropping routes? Everybody else is. You know, I had the sauce.
Right.
So come January, when it's time to keep people, they let a couple people go. They kept me on, and they gave me 2 more routes. Come February, March, April, next thing you know, I'm up to 25 routes. You know, next thing you know, I'm running 27. You know, so they just kept giving me more and more work, you know, as they need it. But keep in mind, I don't have a contract.
Right.
So as long as I'm doing good, they pretty much keeping me.
Right.
So that's pretty much how it went on for the whole year. So that was 19 going into 2020. So 2020 was that breakout year. Was that first year where completely I didn't search for. I searched for some loads to fill in the blanks.
Right.
Shouts out to my broker partner Brian at BBI. He always hit me off with real good loads out here in Atlanta.
Right.
He hit me off with a few loads, but it was mostly Amazon, and it was me using my moving company during the daytime to use some of those trucks to cut some of the costs.
Right.
Because
how typical is that for Amazon to give someone that much responsibility of that many routes, 27 routes? Like, if you compare yourself to some of your peers, I mean, do you know anybody else in the network?
Well, yeah, because at Amazon ATL 6 right now, it's about me and like 7 other carriers.
Okay.
So at first it was one carrier, and they had all of the routes. They owned the whole dock, 150 routes.
Okay.
So as they started to miss, you know,
1, 2 here, 3.
Yeah, they start to miss them. They start to be like, well, we need to bring some more people in because they got comfortable. So next thing you know, it was me. I was like a third person that they brought in. Next thing you know, they start to bring in more people just because they didn't want to depend on one carrier. Because what happens if your driver steals some freight?
Right.
So now if we got to get rid of you and you got 30 routes,
right.
You got 50 routes.
Right.
That's a whole lot of ground. How easy is it going to be to find a cat with 30 routes?
Very, very
difficult. It's going to be difficult. So
they
started to split it up so they wouldn't have to depend on one company just in case they got to kick somebody out.
Right.
Very smart on their part. So it's about so it's guys that I came up with that I'm right there or that I passed up. A lot of guys.
Wow.
Most of the guys that was right there with me that was ahead, I'm definitely ahead of them now.
Got you. So tell me a little bit more about your operation and how you run things. I mean, you talked about the little secret sauce that you have, keeping those 2 guys to the side. What other things do you do to make your operation run smoothly?
Time savers. I use lock boxes.
Okay.
I use lock boxes on my truck. I had to come up with a creative way because I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to meet these drivers. I'm meeting drivers every night. I'm like, if I ain't coming to the truck, it was cool when I was coming to the truck and we all meet up together.
Yeah.
But as I go in CEO status, lock boxes. I had them on my Airbnbs already because at the time I still had, a couple hustles.
Right.
So I took that same thing, started putting lock boxes on my truck. So it eliminated 2 problems for me. For the drivers and when somebody needs to come and work on my truck.
Exactly.
Lock boxes, they call me, hey man, there's nobody here with the truck. Walk to the back of the truck, sir, and I'll give you the code to go in the lock box. They like, that's cold.
Right.
So I started to figure out ways to save me time. And that's pretty much where the shift started to happen. And that CEO mindset, I started to figure out what can save me more time.
Right.
Dedicated routes with Amazon would eliminate me having to have 5 dispatchers. Because now I got one dispatcher running the whole thing because it's one system. It's one shipper.
Right.
So I look for ease in my businesses, not the most money.
Right.
Because I got multiple of them. I don't need. So that was the key thing that started to say, picture driving 45 minutes every time somebody gotta meet you at your truck.
Yeah. Nah, that's
seriously inconvenient.
Yeah.
So little things like that was just, and then fuel cards. You know, some cats try to go fill up their thing. Come on, man, go get you a WEX fuel card. WEX fuel card not only offers you a credit line, but they also build your company credit because they report every 30 days. So that was a double whammy. I started to build my business credit, and I started to have fuel cards. So when acquiring drivers, that's attractive. This dude got box trucks. He got a system. He got a group text. So for a small company, I'm looking like the better small company to work for because I got more structure.
Right.
I got the GroupMe app. Here's your fuel card. It's a fuel card in the truck. Here's your driver ID.
Right.
Here's your PIN number.
Right.
So I learned that keeping drivers was based on me paying on time and me being transparent with what the actual work was, and also being structured and being able to, okay, the truck broke down, sending them an Uber, having that Uber business account, operating, book the Uber, I reimburse you, or either, send me your phone number, I'm finna send you an Uber. Send them the text message, the Uber's outside.
Right.
So they like the fact that dealing with my business, you ain't gonna never be stranded no more. You ain't finna call your people.
Right.
So I lost a lot of profit. I could have been more profitable if I was more stingy. but I wouldn't be able to retain people. And anybody that knows, it takes so much time and effort to recruit. So you either gonna spend money and time on recruiting, or you could just pay people more. I choose to pay people more and treat people better. That's my philosophy.
I like that. I like that. Typically, how do you recruit when you're outreaching the drivers? Do you just use ads or word of mouth? Like, how do you?
I use Indeed and Craigslist, but most of my drivers like working for me, so they're gonna go tell their friends about it.
Right.
You know, they pull up to a truck stop on an Amazon Power Only route or in a box truck route. They bring people with me. They got a clean driver record, 2 years experience. Tell them to call me.
Right.
You know. And so I started to have my drivers do more recruiting than anything.
Got you. So you like you said, you moved into this CEO mindset. You started managing more from the top, and I'm sure it kind of freed up some more of your time to start thinking about how you wanted to kind of grow your business some more. So what'd you do moving forward after that? So now I wouldn't say my business is not stagnant, because like I said, tonight I'm running 17 box trucks. I'm running I got two semis on the road right now. Got another 5 semis on the way. You know, so because I got rid of all the rentals, I'm just gonna box them for tax purposes. It's tax friendly. Okay. So and now I'm more growing in the 18-wheeler space, because it gives me more. As I'm scaling up my company, I need to get to shippers. Shippers are impressed by capacity and how much you can bring. So it's hard to woo a shipper when you only got box trucks. Right. Because with a semi, I can put fuel on the back of that thing. I can put cars on the back of it, refrigerate it. You know, I can put the drop box. I can put flatbed. I got way more options. Right. So I'm not expanding my business in a sense of making more money per trucks. That's a benefit. Right. I'm expanding my business so I can get more shippers.